ASEAN's renewable growth lagged behind last year's electricity demand, and it's now requiring a 3 to 5% increase by 2035 to meet future needs. To tell us more, we have Ember's Denita Setawati and Shabina Nadila. Welcome both. What's happening in ASEAN that's rising electricity demand? Starting with you, Denita.
So, ASEAN is a dynamic region where economic growth remains strong and resilient, driven by domestic and global demand. Ongoing industrializations, electrifications, and digitalization are expected to drive greater electricity demand, putting more pressure on a region traditionally dependent on fossil fuels.
Yeah, so adding to Dinita, between 2022 and 2023, ASEAN electricity demand grew by 45 terawatt hour, which is 3.6%. And this was entirely met by fossil fuels. Without rapid scaling of energy efficiency solutions and low carbon electricity sources in the coming years, emissions could rise significantly, especially as electricity demand is projected to grow by 7.3% annually through 2030, resulting in up to 41% by 2030 from 2023 level.
So, how does this hinder climate goals and economic opportunities?
So, if ASEAN continues its energy transitions at the current pace or business as usual, I think ASEAN would risk missing out on the opportunities provided by the declining cost of wind and solar, now cheaper than fossil fuels. And Sabrina, my colleague, can further add on this matter.
Yeah, so to give you some perspectives, the region currently accounts for 3.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions. However, this share is expected to increase substantially due to population growth, expansion of manufacturing, and increasing electricity demand from the region's data centers. In a business as usual scenario, ASEAN's path to decarbonization will be gradual, with coal and gas continuing to play a primary role in securing the region's energy supply, and continued fossil fuel use will risk the region in meeting its climate targets.
So again, in addition, historic reliance on fossil fuels by ASEAN needs to be changed by accelerating renewables. And we think that the region's energy transition, led by countries like Vietnam and Singapore, will progress at its own pace, more likely to align with national energy policies than the IEA's global net zero emission scenario by 2050. However, opportunities presented by cleaner, more efficient, and sustainable renewable energy, such as wind and solar, offer an alternative that could speed up the region's pace of transition.
And given our current situation, what steps can ASEAN take in order to grow renewable capacity by 3 to 5 times by 2035?
So, according to Ember's recent report on ASEAN, there are several steps that ASEAN can take to accelerate the clean power transitions. Based on this pathway, renewable capacity in ASEAN can be accelerated by 3 to 5 times by 2035. However, Ember identified several measures to deploy renewable energy faster. First, global cooperation is absolutely critical to ASEAN's clean energy transition. When countries work together, we can significantly lower the overall cost of renewables and enhance relationship among nations with renewable potentials, those that own these critical technologies, and those with growing market demand.
Yeah, so not only global cooperation is critical, just like my colleague Dinita said, but targeting renewable investments more effectively is also imperative to drive this growth forward. Private sector investment is essential if ASEAN wants to achieve its clean electricity ambitions. However, private investors often face challenges such as navigating complex auction schemes or securing financial incentives like tax breaks. So, to encourage investment in renewables, ASEAN can address these barriers by refining the ASEAN taxonomy for sustainable finance, reassessing local content quotas, and streamlining the approval processes. And on top of these, the other key step is also to moving to captive renewables instead of coal. We know that captive coal has also been one of the contributing factors in um, the emissions in the power sector. So shifting from captive coal to captive renewables is essential for promoting green economies in ASEAN. This approach doesn't just support decarbonization, but it also creates a framework for industries to adopt renewables more easily. And the fourth step is also to tap into carbon market potential. We know that ASEAN now has some progresses in carbon markets. So a regional carbon market is another powerful tool in ASEAN that they can leverage. By setting up a compliance carbon market with standardized rules, we can increase the scale and impact of carbon financing, enhancing regional power connectivity. This isn't just about creating emission offsets, it's about ensuring those offsets are meaningful through stringent additionality assessments and clear carbon policies. So data transparency will be essential here.
And also, we have identified the other key levers for ASEAN's decarbonization, which is interconnections. Interconnections or grid connectivity is the game changer for ASEAN's energy transition. By linking power systems across the regions, we can diversify energy sources and improve energy security. Enhancing regional power connectivity can also be a powerful motivator for private investment, especially for large-scale power projects that single countries might struggle to fund alone. And Shabina will further mention how we can benefit from the interconnections using wind and solar potential complementary across the region.
To highlight Binita's point about interconnection, in our recent report, we found that solar and wind power have complementary relationships across some ASEAN countries. So, for example, wind in Laos, with a capacity factor reaching 33% from January to February and 48% from October to December, can complement wind in Thailand and solar in Malaysia and Singapore, which achieve up to 20% from March to September. So throughout this year, these countries can share their electricity resources to secure the power supply. So this underscores the powerful synergy between wind and solar resources across these countries. In addition to what Dinita's saying as well, this also highlights that regional interconnection can enhance mutually beneficial relationships among countries with renewables potential and market opportunities.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights, Denita and Sabrina.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Very happy to be here.
And again, those were Dr. Denita Satyawati, Senior Electricity Policy Analyst for Southeast Asia at Ember, and Sabrina Nadila, Electricity Policy Analyst for Southeast Asia at Ember. For more news, visit asian-power.com.